What's going on? What's going on, my good people? Put on my hat. There's no cap. There's a cap for a cap. What's going on, people? What's going on? Another Monday. I hope everyone had an excellent weekend. Let's see what happened. What happened? What did we do this weekend? It was me and Elijah. Had Paul for parts of it. I think Saturday I had Paul. Real enjoyable weekend. If you check in, say something. I'm hoping I can see your comments if you put it on the screen. I don't think I've had a comment since I've changed a couple things. And I hope it works. If I see your comment, hopefully it'll come up. If not, I will be checking back and forth on my mobile device. And we're really going to get into this, man. We're really going to get into building the man. And it says the 4's, but it really was the 4's. The 4's. But it's fine. We'll take it like how it is. And I wanted to get into the 4's, and then I thought about something that I really wanted to hone in on. And we'll see how it goes. Let's go. Let's get into it. So when I'm thinking about building the man, I'm thinking about having like a tool belt, right? And I think what's going on nowadays is that we don't really have a lot of tools. A lot of us get hung up with what's going on with social media. A lot of people are just looking at people's best pictures of themselves. And can't really identify where it is. And then really, when you look at social media, let's take a look at a lot of the things that happened this weekend, some of the images that are being pushed, and it's tough for men to be men, right? So I want to go over a couple of mindset things that we need to be doing and thinking about as we continue on our journey of being that man's man. Remember, this is September. I said this whole entire September, let me plug this in because it keeps going dead. This entire September, I will be talking about the role of the man. It starts and ends with the men. And maybe one show we can do the entire role of excuses. But because at some point we have to get past these excuses. Like at some point we have to stand in the paint. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, what any other demographic is doing. We have to remain solid. You got to be solid. I don't want to hear nothing about being this alpha man. Just be solid. Be a solid man. You don't have to be the loudest in the room. You don't have to take over you don't have to be right every time. You don't have to be correct every time. You just need to be solid. And when you make a mistake, you can essentially you can admit it. That's one part of it. But I want to get into this part, like the bare basics, the foundation, because what we don't have is the foundation. And so, and I thought I changed this and I didn't. Let me put this on here. That's easy. Number one, let's get into, oh, no, that wasn't it. That was number two. Being intentional. Being intentional. What I'm seeing and what I'm noticing, and even this is with me. So you all got to understand that while I'm giving these, I do a lot of thoughts on these topics, but while I'm speaking to myself as well. And one of the things that I'm noticing within myself and then just a lot of people around me is the intention. Like we often just wake up and allow the day to take us to where it is. And you'll never get anywhere that way. You'll continue just going around in a circle. Because if you're just sitting and reacting to things, you're waiting on things to come to you, you'll never get what you want in life. You'll only get what's given to you. Right? You'll only get what's given to you. So I wanted to go over about, initially let's talk about this intention and some things that we can do in order to be more intentional with our lives. Like me, you got to understand, like I get up at 3:57, 3:30, 3:57 normally every, Monday through Friday. And even when I get up on Saturdays and Sundays, I have like a whole routine just to make sure that my day is being intentional, just to make sure that it's going right. Like my routine is, I'm getting up, I'm reading 2 chapters out of the Bible, I'm writing my quote, I'm listening to this, and if you would like, I'll send it to you. It's a recording with who is it? Is it Dale Carnegie? And it talks about the checklist that you should have in life. Just having this intention, and it's a 19-minute listen on YouTube. You can put it at 1.5 speed or 2 speed if you don't really have the time, if you don't have time, but 2, I really can't digest it. 1.5, 1.75 is normally pretty good. So you're getting through it in 9 to 12 minutes, maybe 14 minutes. And it basically talks about this checklist you need to have in life. Number 1, you need to understand the formula. If you want it, I'll give you the information. Number 2, you need to understand the gold mine. And number 3, you need to understand the word. Those 3 things, and it goes over it in detail. And someone actually put me on. A young lady actually put me on years ago, and she was saying that she listened to this for like 30 days straight. So right now, I've went back to doing it. I'm on like I might be on like day 20 or something, but I'm just going to continue doing it as long as I take it. I know I'm going to go longer than 30 days. But it's like one of the things that I do just to be intentional in life. I get it after I do that, or while I'm doing that, rather, I'm having my drink of water with lemons to flush out all the toxins. Wait about 15 to 20 minutes, brush my teeth, get ready and get prepared, quick meditation, head to the gym, listening to some type of self-improvement. Or even if I'm doing a course, I'll listen to the course on the way to the gym. Do the course, then I'll start listening to music when I start lifting weights, not during cardio. During cardio, I'm listening to the course, etc. But it's just, I'm just naming all these things, and it sounds like a lot, right? It sounds like a lot, but the point of the matter is it's about a set intent. It's setting my intention for the day, and then I got this awesome journal. Like here's one of the things, and I'll get into it because it's something I was going to talk about next, and something that I didn't really do, right? And I even had to write it because it's about writing your intent and your vision down. I think as men, we all have some kind of vision, somewhere where we want to be, but yeah, we keep it within our minds. We're not writing it down. And we kind of spoke about this on the community beacon. And that's where I actually got the quote from, because Joel mentioned the quote and where he said, write your vision and make it plain. Right. And this is something that I wasn't doing. Now, what happens when you don't write down your vision? Number 1, it just becomes a passing thought. It just becomes a passing thought. And every time you get stuck in a place, or you yearn for something, some type of thought, some type of hope, and there's that thought again. Oh yeah, this is where I want to be in life. But we never actually write it down. So when you write it down, it kind of makes it real. And here's some of the most sucker stuff I ever thought. Some of the most sucker stuff I ever thought was actually taking stuff and like putting it on your mirror in the bathroom. Or if I have a little whiteboard. If you have a whiteboard, writing it down, writing the right way. I didn't have a whiteboard. Actually, I did have a whiteboard. I just never wrote anything on it. You know what I mean? Like, you just think that these things are so far-fetched. And I'm not talking about like these vision parties where people get together and they put these little things. You could do it. You could. What I would rather a person do is to actually write down their vision. Where do I want to be in life? Because if you figure out where you want to be in life, now you got to figure out where you are. And then you can start building that roadmap. What happens is that we have this lofty thought. It's almost like heaven. When people speak about heaven, you've never seen it. You don't understand it. And I'm not saying heaven is not real, but it's just based on it's just this ideal, this thought. Well, that's your vision, but you can actually make your vision a reality. But you have to write it down. That's number 1. Number 2, when you write it down, you can get people to help you. People will help you when you write it down. As a man, part of being a man is having a vision. You have to have a vision. If you don't have a vision, you're just flopping about in life. And if you're not moving towards your vision, you're more than likely helping someone create their own vision, which is not a bad thing. You should help and seek to add value to someone else's vision. But you should have your own vision. You cannot blame people. You can't blame people for throwing you off course, or if it, and this is how we start coming up with this is how we start blaming people. We start looking at people and saying, oh, this person got me off of my square, so then I'm set back. What are you set back from? Then you start making it up. Oh, I could have been this far in life, but you never had that ideal in the first place. You're seeking to blame, and now you're going down this victim Olympic, this path in which you're going to continue blaming people. Make your vision plain and clear and write it down. Like I told you, it took me 30 plus years to start writing it down. Actually, I think I did used to write it down, but I didn't make it plain and clear. I put it in my notes and in my phone. How many times would I go back and look at it? I got about 1,000 notes in this phone, all dating back to like 2014, 13 or something like that. Sometimes I go back and look at my notes. I'm like, oh, whoa, was I supposed to be doing that? I got 3 major things, man. Bring a major sports team to Palm Beach, the Palm Beach market. That's number 1. Make 15 million. That's number 2. And meet several people. Create a legacy, create riches, etc. Make it plain and clear. Along with writing these things down, and I'm going to actually get in depth with it at a later date. It won't be today. Is to write down your standards. Write down your rules of operation. I had a conversation with my father. Let's talk about it. I had a conversation with my father. Over the last year, we steadily had this conversation, but I keep bringing it up to him because he's not understanding. Let me not say he's not understanding. One of the things that we have a conversation about is where we see the family going, right? Where do we see the family going? And oftentimes, like, why the family isn't where we think the family should be. And my comment to him is that, I'm always getting on the seasoned guy. I'm like, listen, you all dropped the ball. I tell them that they dropped the ball because I said, yeah, you all had no standards. There was like no rules of engagement. There was nothing there. So people kind of did whatever they wanted to do. And as humans, when we do whatever we want to do, we can rationalize anything. We can rationalize anything as human beings. If you go and check out like people killing each other and all, and still walk around and smiling and they might because we can rationalize these things. So one of the things I spoke to him about was like, there's no standard. So if we don't have a standard and it's not written down plain, anybody can mess up and nobody can check them for it, right? Because if it's written down, if you have a family mode of operation that's written down, then you can check these people for whatever actions that they're doing. And if they already know it's there, then you can say, okay, that's your first strike. And then after 2 strikes you're out, 3 strikes you're out, whatever however you want to do it. But you have to have standards. What I've noticed among and even outside of people, you need to have a standard and rules just within yourself. Like I think it's 10 rules that I'm not breaking for anybody. I don't care who it is. It could be my mother. Well, my mother's passed. God bless her. My father, my brother, my kids, significant other. I'm not breaking it. Because it has, and they should be made aware of these rules. Right? How do people know that they are stepping on your toes? How do people know that they're crossing you? because oftentimes this is what happens is this communication thing, because you were raised this way, or not, and we're going to be in close proximity to each other. Like, we have to have a way to understand, like, how far we can go with each other. Let me say how far, but sometimes things are crossing the line. And the way that you were brought up and the way that I was brought up, our lines may be crossed differently, especially when we're dealing with this diverse world, especially when you're talking about these people. If people don't know where you stand, then they can cross that line. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some habitual line steppers. There are people who are built to step on the line, but then you can discipline. You can discipline it. Whether that's taking away your presence for them, however you want to define discipline in somebody. But I think sometimes the best thing is to make people respect if they can't respect your presence, to make them respect your absence. Right? But besides these habitual line steppers, you need to react. I mean, in some of your closer relationships, you need to have these standards. Like I said, have the standard for yourself, write it down and make it plain. And I'm going to go as far to say some of the most powerful families have a standard for their entire family. And that's why they're so powerful. Because they understand there's one would say there's a code. And if people don't abide by your code, get away from those people. It's real simple. It's real simple. So I think that was number one, was, you need to write down your intent. Another thing I wanted to get into, and this was essentially the 4's, and I guess can I take this down? Okay, cool. Most people are seeking safety. They want to be safe, want to be made to feel safe. Most people are selfish, and they're seeking security. I think safe and security are the same thing. So I might have, same thing to me. So for a woman, you have to provide those things. You got to provide safety. You got security, and they're just going to be selfish all within themselves. Building the man. Men, we are made to create. So while we're creating, there won't be this sense of safety. Oftentimes we're not really seeking security. We want to create. We want to lead. We have this vision that's in our mind. And here's the thing about the vision. The vision can't just be about. You have to be able to add value across the board. The more value that you add, the more that you will be well, I don't want to say provided. The more value that you add, the more that you'll be compensated. And it doesn't necessarily have to be money. And that's normal, because we're here to add value to people. Life is about people, after all. And knowing our path and getting in our role. So really it's about like seeking, what is your purpose? Finding your purpose, and your purpose is normally going to be adding to the community at large by creating. So I want to say you're allowed to be selfish. You should when you're building yourself, because you need to build yourself. And I really want to break this stuff down. And then the last thing, and this was on the show. This was on Community Beacon. Excuse me. This was on Community Beacon on Friday, and I left it up here. It was that you got to envision it. That's the vision. Then you got to focus. You got to focus. You got to find your niche. You got to find your tribe. You got to be around your people. How do you do that? By creating those boundaries, by creating those codes. because everybody's not going to abide by those boundaries. Everybody's not going to abide by those codes. That helps you to focus, because if these people aren't in line, if you don't align with these people, then they're just going to try to get you. Then not they are going to try, but you will get off of your focus. You will get off of your square. And the last thing is to work. We are created to work. There's always more work to be done. I'm not saying that you shouldn't rest. I'm not saying you should not enjoy life. And that's one thing about me, is I can tend to be very rigid about things. And it may seem like I'm not enjoying life. Off time I am. I find joy in my work. So I'm going to end it there. Next week, I want to talk about building your code. We're going to talk about standards. And we're just going to talk about us becoming a more powerful person through these codes, these standards. Man, Nas had an excellent lyric. He said the greatest thing that he created besides his kids were boundaries. So we're going to talk about the boundaries. We're going to talk about the codes. We're going to talk about, being, in order to further your focus and whilst becoming a man. Cool, man. Listen, I didn't think I could talk for 20 minutes. I appreciate you all for checking in. If you have any questions, any comments, if I kind of babbled a little bit and you need clarification, hit me in these comments or hit me on the DM. I appreciate you all for checking in. And we're going to get to it, man. We're going to get to it. Love you guys.